Eventually, I discovered the real meaning of discovery from an article by a Native American, Steve Newcomb. The article was titled 500 Years of Injustice. So he was a Native American and he writes about the arrival of Europeans from the Native American point of view. So I discovered that my problem with discovery was indeed a problem with English, with the English. Pun intended. The word discovery has a little known special meaning in church dogma. If you look at the bull Inter Cetera and the bull Romanus Pontifex, a bull, by the way, is a church fatwa. On that church dogma, the first Christian to see a piece of land becomes its owner, notwithstanding its prior ownership by any non-Christians. And one of these so-called Red Indians, Native Americans, he thought he would try out the British system of justice, and he appealed to the Supreme Court, this was our land, give it back to us. They did not have a concept of land ownership. But the US Supreme Court ruled in 1823 that this church dogma was part of US law. It is still part of US law. Nobody has challenged it. And this US law, US inherited its law, like India, from Britain. Now, Britain is a Protestant country, and the judge noted that Protestants had accepted the bull, and they had sent Cabots on voyages of discovery. Therefore, it was part of British law, and therefore it ruled that the Red Indians had lost their right to the land in the Americas after being discovered by Christians. This is US law. I'll give you the reference if you like. So the verdict remains unchallenged to this day, and that was the superior British system of justice. This evil dogma dehumanizes non-Christians. It carries the claim of Christian superiority to the point that depraved popes openly encouraged genocide of non-Christians. The related bulls, Romanus Pontifex for example, call upon Christians to kill and enslave all non-Christians, and praises these as high moral acts. And the resulting genocide is described by Las Casas, who accompanied Columbus on his second voyage. And this book is, of course, well known, a short account of the destruction of the Indies by Las Casas. I have an image of it. As Las Casas described it, the Spanish did not spare even women and children. They split open the wombs of pregnant women and threw young children from cliffs into the sea, saying, "Boil there, you offspring of the devil." So as these remarks about the devil show, these were religious hate crimes against humanity, directly encouraged by infallible popes, who hold on to that dogma to this day. The Red Indians, so to say, the Native Americans, burn those bulls. Every year they have never been withdrawn. And here are some images of the way people were killed, the brutal way in which they were killed. And on the first estimate that Las Casas gave, it was 10 million people were brutally killed during the initial genocide. Many more were killed later. And this 10 million figure is already more than the largest estimate of Jews killed by Hitler. So there should be proportionate condemnation. But the concerned popes were never declared criminals against humanity. Instead, they teach morality to children. So while Holocaust denial is a crime, the genocide of native inhabitants is glorified. It is celebrated as Columbus Day in the US and other countries. First time I went to Australia in 1988, they were celebrating the bicentennial of Thomas Cook's discovery of Australia and the resulting genocide of the Australian Aborigines. They couldn't kill the Maoris because the Maoris were warlike. So this was the real meaning of discovery. And children are still indoctrinated into believing that these evil genocides were glorious acts. Because colonial education came as church education, it injects this poisonous church dogma into the minds of young children. And most people never overcome that. It took me so many years, about something like 40 years, to find out what is wrong about my superior school text. And children are still being indoctrinated. And this lesson on the age of discovery is still taught in ICSE syllabus and in African schools today. If you try to correct it, they get horrified for such glorious acts. 50 million Africans were killed. So such genocide glorification ought to be declared a criminal act. And we should instead teach our children to ignore Western hypocrisy about human rights until such time as there is reparation for these crimes. So to summarize, Vasco da Gama did not discover India or the sea route to India. The word discovery relates to a genocidal church dogma which glorified these genocides and declared them as high moral acts and teaches our children accordingly. And the same remark, of course, applies not only to Columbus but also to Thomas Cook's discovery of Australia.